Dinar Shift. This is your key operational briefing on the extraordinary patterns emerging across the financial landscape. We must maintain absolute focus on the verifiable signals and the consistent narrative from the community. The confluence of silent movements, sudden restrictions, and highly organized appointments suggests a significant shift in the status quo for both the Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese Dong. This is not the familiar speculation of years past. Instead, we are witnessing a coordinated sequence of events that many currency holders believed would remain purely theoretical. The sheer volume of reports from individuals in various U.S. states, including Texas, Florida, Georgia, Nevada, and others, describes an unusual uptick in activity related to foreign currency exchanges. These are not the typical open market transactions conducted at standard banking facilities or airport counters. Instead, the accounts detail private invitation-only gatherings held in nondescript, highly secure locations, frequently featuring external security measures. This consistency in the logistical setup, replicated across numerous unconnected geographical areas, points toward a centrally organized process. The reported procedures inside these specialized venues speak to a high level of control and formal verification. Witnesses consistently mention expedited documentation review, the application of advanced biometric scans, and the use of professional-grade machines specifically designed for currency validation. While these individual claims cannot be confirmed by our team, the structural uniformity across diverse reports compels us to consider the possibility that a standardized protocol for currency exchange is now being deployed. Such rigorous uniform processes are indicative of a major financial operation moving into an advanced, action-oriented phase. A major, tangible indicator of underlying change is the abrupt policy shift being observed within the conventional banking sector. Numerous reports from viewers indicate that banks are suddenly blocking new purchases of foreign currencies, canceling previously placed orders, or simply refusing to engage in any discussion concerning the Iraqi Dinar or Vietnamese Dong. This sudden and widespread institutional silence is a powerful signal. When the availability of these specific foreign currencies disappears from the market simultaneously with reported increases in activity at confidential exchange centers, it strongly suggests a preparatory action is underway. This widespread tightening of banking access, regardless of whether it stems from official liability concerns, a lack of clear governmental guidance, or the implementation of internal directives, directly impacts currency holders. The unexpected termination of sales for currencies that have long been accessible to the public is a compelling sign that an unseen, systemic change is taking place behind the scenes of the formal financial structure. This action aligns precisely with earlier warnings from financial observers. As a currency revaluation approaches, the standard market access to undervalued currencies is systematically curtailed to prevent chaotic, last-minute acquisition surges. The communications landscape is also demonstrating a distinct and highly unusual pattern. Currency holders are reporting receiving cryptic messages, short texts from blocked or unfamiliar numbers, or unusual, brief email notifications. These messages are often vague yet urgent, advising recipients to stay ready, to watch your email, or to expect a crucial appointment window shortly. There are even claims of being told to remain immediately accessible to their phones within a compressed time frame, sometimes as short as 72 hours. These signals are often attributed to former contacts, including ex-bankers, financial advisors, or long-standing currency market sources, who are now quietly offering purposeful yet nonspecific warnings of a major imminent development. The critical observation is that this flow of communication is consistently non-public, cautious, and urgent, appearing in disparate regions all at once. For those who have monitored the intelligence surrounding these currencies for an extended period, this behavior is a known hallmark. It is the kind of subdued but concentrated signaling that occurs when a complex financial system moves from planning into phased activation. Inside the locations reportedly acting as early exchange centers, the procedures described by participants are remarkably consistent, pointing to a highly professional and standardized operational design. The process reportedly commences with a strict identity verification step, requiring multiple forms of identification such as government-issued passports, driver's licenses, and supplementary verification like a recent utility statement. This is followed by a meticulous currency validation stage where the physical notes are processed through high-security scanning equipment. These advanced validation machines are described as checking critical security features, including the paper's watermarks, the printed year, unique serial numbers, and complex anti-counterfeit markings, sometimes incorporating UV light or even biometric checks like fingerprint or facial recognition. The uniformity of this rigorous minute-by-minute procedure is exactly what would be expected from a government-controlled or treasury-sanctioned exchange process. The currency verification phase is the most sensitive element, and the reliance on advanced professional systems over simple banked teller inspections suggests a pre-planned, fully trained operation. One of the most intensely scrutinized aspects of the early reports involves the exchange rate sheets allegedly viewed by some participants. While those who are bound by non-disclosure agreements and NDAs cannot legally reveal specific figures, the information that filters out through conversations with friends or family members describes a clear, multi-tiered rate structure. These accounts detail varying rates based on several criteria: the specific currency being exchanged, the total volume of currency held by the individual, and crucially, whether the participant presents a detailed proposal for a community or humanitarian project. The reported structure typically outlines the lowest tier as the street rate, followed by a higher contract rate, and then a significantly elevated special humanitarian rate. Specifically, holders of the Vietnamese Dong are reportedly noting unexpectedly high figures, which aligns with long-standing speculation regarding Vietnam's steady economic and financial strengthening in preparation for international currency adjustments. Although the absolute accuracy of these reported numbers remains unconfirmed, the sheer consistency of the descriptions among unrelated sources strongly suggests a genuine, regulated event is unfolding under a mandate of strict confidentiality. The concept of non-disclosure agreements NDAs being universally mandatory for all early exchangers is another highly consistent report causing much discussion within the community. Participants claim that upon entering the centers and prior to any specific rate discussion or document signing, they are required to sign a comprehensive NDA. This legally binding document reportedly prohibits them from revealing any specific details about the exchange, including the location, the rate they received, the exact procedural steps, or the timing of future releases. The utilization of NDA in this context is highly significant. These legal instruments are standard practice in situations involving substantial financial movements, corporate restructuring, or granting early access to confidential systems. They are routine in corporate mergers and classified government operations. In this specific scenario, NDA are likely employed to prevent chaotic market disruption and to ensure that the entire process is rolled out in a controlled, phased manner. The deployment of legally protected, coordinated, and sensitive protocols of this nature implies an event far exceeding a simple, routine foreign currency transaction. An observable trend that mirrors the official policy shifts is the notable change in behavior among bank managers and private banking personnel. Numerous currency holders report that banking officials who previously dismissed the dinar or the dong as unstable or worthless are now becoming extremely guarded and cautious in their language, often refusing to comment on the currencies at all. Some managers are reportedly stating they are unable to discuss foreign currencies at the moment, a highly unusual stance for a customer-facing banking environment. This sudden and widespread silence from key banking officials can often be more informative than any public confirmation. When banks abruptly cease the sale of specific currencies without explanation, when routine customer emails go unanswered, and when staff adopt a posture of extreme caution, it strongly implies that internal guidance has been disseminated from corporate headquarters. Such internal directives typically serve as the immediate precursor to the implementation of a major financial or regulatory change that the institution is preparing to roll out. There is a growing, palpable sense of urgency being described by many currency holders that is distinctly different from the cyclical speculation of prior years. People across the community report feeling an atmosphere of acceleration, prompting them to organize all their financial documents, verify their identification, and remain fully alert for incoming calls or notifications. This feeling appears to be grounded not in rumors, but in the aggregation of visible, tangible changes. Bank policy restrictions, documented activity at exchange centers, the sudden silence of key insiders, and claims of completed early appointments. This gathering of evidence suggests a process that is rapidly moving into its kinetic phase. The nature of a hidden wave is that it begins quietly, in a controlled, non-public manner, visible only to a small segment of the most informed observers. However, as this wave acquires momentum and its internal structures solidify, it eventually breaks through and becomes visible to the broader public. The current environment, marked by increasing evidence of coordination and logistical preparation, is strongly indicative of this crucial transition from the hidden, preparatory phase to the early stage of the publicly visible wave. As this sequence of events develops, holders of the Vietnamese Dong are noting increasing circumstantial evidence that Vietnam's national currency may be positioned for a deliberate upward adjustment in its value. Over the recent past, the nation has demonstrably enhanced its economic stability, successfully forged new international trade agreements, significantly expanded its manufacturing capacity, and tightened its adherence to global financial compliance standards. These calculated steps are the classic prerequisites that typically precede a major currency revaluation or international adjustment of its value. Viewer reports also indicate that banking institutions that once freely sold the Vietnamese Dong are now implementing sales restrictions or requiring customers to adhere to additional waiting periods for purchase requests. While it is impossible to definitively confirm a direct link between these internal banking changes and a currency revaluation, the consistent pattern of these actions is too significant to ignore. The evidence suggests that Vietnam is aligning its national financial policies with broader global reforms in a manner that is both quiet and highly deliberate. Concurrently, the Iraqi dinar continues to hold its position as the central focus of the entire revaluation discussion. Iraq has made significant and ongoing efforts to strengthen its core financial system, increase its capacity for oil production and export, formally adjust its national budgetary structures, and improve cooperation with international regulatory bodies. Many observers believe that Iraq's internal currency revaluation plan is fully formulated, and that the nation is merely waiting for a strategically synchronized moment for a global release. With multiple nations increasing their gold reserves, deepening their compliance with international banking regulations like the Basel Accords, and general restructuring across the Middle Eastern financial markets, Iraq appears strategically positioned to re-enter the global economy from a position of significantly enhanced economic strength. Historically, periods of genuine economic stabilization and structural reform in Iraq have been followed by adjustments in the value of the dinar. This fundamental correlation is the primary reason the dinar is considered the foundational anchor of the entire hidden wave of financial change. A highly consistent and critical warning circulating among those who have tracked this process is the absolute necessity of maintaining strict privacy regarding one's holdings and plans, particularly across public social media platforms. If the reports of mandatory NDA for early exchangers are accurate, any public disclosure of transaction details could carry severe penalties, including potential disqualification or even legal action. Even for those yet to exchange, posting information online about the volume of currency held, the source of purchase, or expected exchange rates creates unnecessary security risks. Given the emphasis on confidentiality reported at the exchange centers, drawing public attention to oneself could potentially jeopardize one's opportunity. The most prudent and secure approach is to remain completely private, meticulously organized, and hyper-vigilant for official communications. This strategy is designed to ensure that one does not accidentally compromise their potential opportunity or become a visible target for the aggressive scams that often emerge during periods of heightened speculation and excitement. The rising excitement has predictably fueled a dangerous surge in fraudulent activity. Viewers are reporting a significant increase in suspicious emails and contacts that request upfront fees, immediate cryptocurrency transfers, or sensitive access to personal bank accounts. It is imperative that all such requests be immediately and decisively ignored. No legitimate official currency redemption process will ever ask for a prepayment, gift card, confidential password, or crypto wallet verification. Authentic, official communication will be professional, encrypted, and direct, not sloppy, vague, or rushed in its execution. The goal of these fraudulent schemes is to exploit the hope and urgency of currency holders. The absolute best defense against financial harm is a commitment to staying thoroughly informed, meticulously verifying the legitimacy of every piece of communication through established channels, and trusting only in confirmed, professional notification methods. One's long-term financial security must never be compromised for the false promise of an expedited exchange process or a superior rate. Preparation remains the single most important step at this pivotal moment. Detailed preparation is the key to a smooth and successful exchange experience. All currency holders must ensure that their personal identification documents are completely current, including their passport, driver's license, and supporting secondary documentation, such as recent utility bills or government correspondence. The physical currency itself should be neatly organized by denomination, kept clean and completely undamaged. Essential proof of purchase records, such as receipts or transaction confirmations, must be immediately accessible. It is also highly recommended to prepare a small notebook containing a clear list of questions and notes for use during the appointment. This level of meticulous preparedness serves to eliminate potential delays and presents the currency holder as professional and ready to proceed. If the hidden wave of activity is indeed underway, those who are organized and ready will move through the process seamlessly, while those who are disorganized may face unnecessary complications or miss critical timeframes. The mantra for this stage is calm, focused, and deliberate organization. A recurring theme in the reports from early exchangers is the suggestion that humanitarian or community-focused projects may be a critical factor in determining the exchange rate an individual receives. These accounts propose that having a clearly defined, practical project proposal could be the key to unlocking the higher, structured rates or qualifying for special financial programs. These projects do not need to be massive global initiatives. They can be focused on small, local community improvements, educational initiatives, small business incubation, or local infrastructure upgrades. The essential requirement is that the project is clear in its scope, entirely practical in its execution, and measurably beneficial to others. If these higher rates are genuinely linked to a humanitarian intention, then the proactive preparation of a detailed proposal becomes an incredibly important element of preparation. This alleged connection supports the broader idea that the revaluation event is intended to serve a purpose beyond simple wealth redistribution, aiming instead to revitalize and strengthen local communities. Another compelling detail drawing attention is the persistent discussion of a limited acceleration window, often cited as 48 or 72 hours. Some internal sources suggest that once the process for a specific tier of currency holders becomes fully active, the most advantageous exchange rates will be available only for this very short, limited duration. After this specified window closes, the rates are theorized to adjust downward as the system handles a larger volume of participants. Whether this specific time window is factual or purely speculative, it has successfully created a clear, practical sense of urgency within the community. Currency holders are being strongly advised to remain close to their primary communication devices, ensure their contact information is up to date, and avoid unnecessary travel that would take them far from home. Missing the initial notification and the subsequent appointment window could potentially mean forfeiting access to the premium rates. Being ready, organized, and available at the precise moment of notification is considered a life-changing priority. As the current of this hidden wave continues its silent expansion, the community is beginning to recognize the immense, far-reaching global impact that an event of this magnitude would necessarily trigger. A significant revaluation of both the Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese Dong would create ripples far beyond their borders, influencing international oil markets, reshaping import-export dynamics, altering regional financial alliances, and fundamentally restructuring global financial frameworks. Nations with currencies currently deemed undervalued may be prompted to initiate their own adjustments, Global banks may need to swiftly restructure their liquidity systems, and investors may execute major portfolio shifts. An economic reset on this scale would inevitably redraw the map of global economic power, potentially shifting influence away from traditional centers and toward emerging nations. The ultimate scope of this potential change is only now beginning to be fully comprehended. While a healthy level of skepticism is both natural and necessary, serving as a guardrail against predatory scams, an excessive or rigid skepticism at this point may prevent one from recognizing and acting on a genuine opportunity. The current dynamic requires a carefully maintained balance, remain cautious and alert, but also fully prepared for action. This hidden wave is characterized by its strategic, controlled, and deliberate nature. It is neither loud nor chaotic, and it is demonstrably in motion. As this calculated expansion continues, the changes will become increasingly undeniable in the global financial environment. Banks will subtly shift policies, communication channels will become highly secured, and more regions will report confidential activity at the exchange centers. The idea that a revaluation event is merely a baseless rumor is increasingly difficult to maintain in the face of this accumulating evidence. The pattern of confidential appointments, institutional silence, consistent community reports, and bank policy restrictions is a factual record that suggests something significant is unfolding. The moment now calls for calm, unwavering preparation, absolute clarity of focus, and a steady, informed awareness. Regardless of the size of one's holdings or one's longevity in the community, the core instruction remains the same: stay ready. The clues are aligning like never before, and the possibility of a revaluation is moving rapidly from the realm of theory into the sphere of visible reality, piece by piece, location by location, appointment by appointment.